So as I've been showing up to you every single day for the past 2 months and always make sure to get the important things no matter how I feel like, I want to share with you the 5 strategies I use to never procrastinate. The first one is to redirect the frustration. I remember one day in high school when I had an assignment for the Swedish class, I kept on waiting and waiting until it was too much to bear at the time. And then I realized that if I just keep waiting and waiting, it will simply get worse. It's like when you're cooking something and you're having too long. So I believe the main reason I procrastinate because there's a potential negative event that we do not want to confront, but because it's inevitable unless we check off it entirely, it's all about get over it rather than trying to stay away from it and hope for the best. And also realized recently that there are significant productivity gains to be made if I simply choose to not procrastinate when I'm more inclined to procrastinate. Think of a normal day when you spend roughly 20 times doing something instead of doing something else. What if you simply remove those 20 occasions? Suddenly you have more room to simply fill in with those activities that you want, expand it over a whole week and a whole month, and see yourself and your productivity skyrocket with 20x. That's a good framework to stop procrastinating. The second strategy is to better go slow than not at all. So as I've been recording this, I made a lot of background music recently, but it was a hard process because I hadn't really done that before. I believe the main reason was that I was secretly afraid to suck. I was afraid of all these potential moments where I didn't know what to do or something did not work, and I found myself more and more in this mounting stress where I didn't know how to do anything and found myself wasting the entire day while in reality it's not. So when I eventually sat there, I got some kind of an epiphany moment that it's better to go slow then don't go at all. It's like when you're walking to a particular place, could be to a forest. If you go slow, you will eventually get there. But if you don't walk, you will not get there. Unless you choose to take an Uber or something, I don't know. And according to author and prominent speaker Josh Kaufman, the first 20 hours of any skill are supposed to suck. But after that, it's significantly easier. It's like this parade of distribution if you get over this 80% just by spending the minimum amount in the beginning. And that ties perfectly well to the third strategy, that I make every step easier. Whenever I went into Logic Pro, which is the music software that I use for my background music, I made sure to already then make a template. I tried to master the getting into the app, making tracks, making sure that all the sounds were working properly. Also took a lot of time just by familiarizing with all these MIDI sounds and the drum machine and so forth, so that when it was time for me to record, I already gained some familiarity. Like imagine if it's very snowy outside and you want to get out, it's much better to take your shovel and dig the first meters or something, so that it becomes much easier to travel through rather than just walk in and walk back and then walking in again and so forth. And the beautiful thing with this is like when you're optimizing, you get some small wins. You know it's intuitively easy next time, so you saved some time over there and saved some effort. And then you can snowball this good feeling to tackle all these new steps and realize it's just a discovery process. The fourth strategy I use is this realistic perfection. There are a lot of videos out there, and especially when it relates to procrastination, that perfectionism is the enemy. But I've changed my mind during the recent years. I think perfectionism is actually very good. Think about the top creators, for example, on YouTube. They are all perfectionists. They have extremely high standards and don't accept anything that doesn't go above that. I believe the problem is that we have so high standards, but we don't have yet the capabilities to fulfill that standards. So when I did my evening walk, I found out that I should have 2 standards. First, the aspirational one, but then I also have a realistic current standard, which I aim to elevate over time as I become better and better at what I do. Before I give you the bonus one at the end of the video, the 5th strategy I use to never procrastinate is to once again know what I want, know exactly what is required for each detail. It could be a muscle twitch, it could be getting off to the sofa, coming down to the chair, open the computer. I believe when people say that strategy is easy but execution is hard, that they haven't really thought about the strategy before. Sure, it's very easy to see, okay, what am I going to do in 20 years, 10 years, 1 year, quarter, etc. But then you want to take the same plan and extrapolate it down to where you are right now. See the vivid details and visualize how it's going to be when you're in there doing it. And note-taking apps are very good at this, because the more you write down, the more you realize that you might have some hidden aspirations behind certain actions and so forth, and it could then guide you to do something that you particularly enjoy, no matter the outcome. The bonus strategy I use is to have a calm attitude. For the past 6 months or so, I've always striven to be outside my comfort zone, and I noticed significant results in terms of my performance. But I think I've reached some sort of a procrastination singularity, in which I've been so much focused on getting over with, doing whatever it takes and not procrastinate, that I have this undercurrent of peace now. I've foreseen that whatever happens, I'm okay with. I can simply relabel the sensations I feel as good instead of bad, and sort of maintain this calm attitude no matter the outcome. And if you look at top CEOs when they are more seasoned, they are more calm, they are more collected, they are more attentive to data rather than emotions and so forth, because they've scaled themselves. They know that if they are continuing to go higher and higher, that they need to adjust themselves too, adjust their breathing to higher altitude, so to speak. So what I can tell you is that if you simply move forward, no matter how it feels like, if you know more what you want, and make sure to not procrastinate the important, you will sooner find yourself in this procrastination singularity, in which you simply move forward, nonetheless being kind of like a robot, called it that, but in a good way, because then you can elevate your human performance to the next level and make sure to get your desired future right now while enjoying it at the same time. And let me know in the comments if you also found these 5 strategies particularly helpful, especially if you're on YouTube right now and have something important to do, you know what I mean. I'll see you in this video right here, and always remember that you're the most amazing human being alive.